Partly directing for me is trying to create that environment, not just for the actors, but also for all the key department heads in the production.
The life story of Ron Howard is more than just a tale about Hollywood success. It is a story about growing up in the spotlight, facing pressure at a very young age, and learning how to turn challenges into opportunities. Many people around the world recognize Ron Howard as a talented director who created famous films like Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Mind. However, long before he became one of Hollywood's most respected filmmakers, Ron Howard was simply a young boy trying to understand life while being watched by millions of viewers. His journey began in a family connected to the entertainment world. Born in 1954 in Duncan, Oklahoma, his parents were both actors who understood the demanding nature of the film and television industry. Because of their work, Ron was introduced to acting at an extremely young age. By the time most children were learning to speak clearly or play simple games, Ron was already appearing in front of cameras. This unusual childhood shaped the person he would later become. While many people imagine that growing up in Hollywood is glamorous and exciting, the reality can be very different. For Ron Howard, fame arrived before he was old enough to fully understand it. Instead of a normal childhood filled with playground games and neighborhood friends, he spent much of his time on film sets surrounded by adults working long hours. These early experiences taught him discipline and professionalism, but they also created a feeling of isolation. Even though he was becoming famous, he sometimes felt separated from the simple joys that most children enjoy. These early years formed the foundation of a life that would later include great success, but also personal struggles and moments of self-doubt. Ron Howard's life changed dramatically when he became known as Opie Taylor on the beloved television series The Andy Griffith Show. The show quickly became one of the most popular family programs in the United States. Viewers loved the gentle humor and the warm relationship between Opie and his father, played by Andy Griffith. For audiences, Ron Howard was the perfect child actor. His natural performance made the character feel real and lovable. Millions of families watched the show every week, and young Ron quickly became one of the most recognizable faces on television. While this success brought admiration and fame, it also created a complicated situation for the young actor. People everywhere began to see him only as Opie. When viewers met him in public, they treated him like the character they saw on television rather than as a normal child. For a young boy still discovering his identity, this attention could be confusing. At school, Ron often had to balance normal lessons with the responsibilities of filming episodes. His classroom was sometimes a small trailer near the studio set where teachers helped him keep up with his studies. Unlike most children, he did not always have time to play sports or attend regular school activities. Even though he enjoyed acting and appreciated the opportunities it provided, he sometimes wondered what it would be like to live a completely normal childhood. The show's success lasted for many years, and Ron Howard's performance remained one of its highlights. However, as he grew older, he began to think about the future and what his life might look like beyond this famous role. The challenge of moving beyond Opie Taylor would soon become one of the biggest tests of his career. After the Andy Griffith Show ended, Ron Howard faced a situation that many former child stars experience. Audiences had become so used to seeing him as Opie Taylor that it was difficult for them to imagine him in any other role. For young actors, this type of problem is often called typecasting, meaning the industry continues to offer the same type of character again and again. Ron realized that if he wanted a long career in entertainment, he would have to find a way to change how people saw him. Fortunately, another opportunity soon arrived. In the 1970s, Ron began playing Richie Cunningham on the popular sitcom Happy Days. The show was set in the 1950s and followed the lives of teenagers growing up in a simpler time. Richie was a kind and thoughtful character who often found himself in funny or awkward situations with his friends. The series quickly became a huge success and introduced viewers to many memorable characters, including the cool and confident Arthur Fonzie Fonzarelli, played by Henry Winkler. Once again, Ron Howard became a familiar face on television screens across the country. Yet even though the show was extremely popular, Ron began to think about something different. Acting had been a part of his life for as long as he could remember, but he started to develop a growing interest in what happened behind the camera. He was fascinated by the way directors shaped scenes, guided actors, and turned scripts into powerful stories. Instead of simply performing in front of the camera, Ron wanted to understand the entire filmmaking process. This curiosity slowly grew into a serious passion. By the late 1970s, he made a bold decision that surprised many people. Even though he was still successful as an actor, Ron decided to step away from acting roles and begin focusing on directing films. Transitioning from acting to directing was not easy for Ron Howard. Hollywood can sometimes be skeptical when actors try to move into other creative roles. Many industry professionals wondered whether a former child star could truly succeed as a serious filmmaker. Ron understood that he would have to work hard to earn respect in this new position. His early directing efforts included films such as Night Shift and the fantasy comedy Splash. These projects helped him learn valuable lessons about storytelling, pacing, and working with large production teams. Splash, in particular, became a surprising box office success. The film's charming story about a man who falls in love with a mermaid captured the imagination of audiences and proved that Ron had real talent behind the camera. This success helped change the way Hollywood viewed him. Instead of seeing him only as a former television actor, people began to recognize him as a creative director with a unique vision. Over the next several years, Ron continued to build his reputation by directing a variety of films in different genres. Some were comedies, while others explored deeper and more serious themes. Each project allowed him to improve his skills and experiment with new ideas. While not every film became a major hit, Ron's dedication and work ethic impressed many people in the industry. He was known for treating actors and crew members with respect, creating a positive atmosphere on set. Slowly but surely, he was establishing himself as a filmmaker capable of handling large, complex stories. This period of growth eventually led to some of the most important films of his career. One of the biggest turning points in Ron Howard's directing career came with the release of Apollo 13. The film tells the true story of the dangerous space mission that nearly ended in disaster. When an oxygen tank exploded aboard the spacecraft, the astronauts had to work with engineers on Earth to find a way to survive and return home safely. Ron Howard approached the story with great attention to detail and emotional depth. He wanted audiences to feel the tension and uncertainty experienced by the astronauts and their families. The film starred Tom Hanks as astronaut Jim Lovell and featured a talented cast that helped bring the dramatic events to life. When Apollo 13 was released, it received praise from critics and audiences around the world. Many people admired the film's realistic depiction of space travel and the powerful human story at its center. The movie was nominated for several awards and strengthened Ron Howard's reputation as one of Hollywood's most reliable directors. More importantly, the success of Apollo 13 showed that Ron could handle large-scale productions while still focusing on the emotional journeys of the characters. This balance between spectacle and human drama became one of his greatest strengths as a filmmaker. For Ron Howard, the film represented more than just another successful project. It was proof that years of learning, experimenting, and overcoming doubts had prepared him to tell stories on a much bigger stage. Another major achievement came when Ron Howard directed the powerful drama A Beautiful Mind. The film tells the story of mathematician John Nash, a brilliant thinker who struggled with the mental illness schizophrenia. Starring Russell Crowe as Nash, the movie explored both the beauty of intellectual discovery and the painful reality of living with mental illness. Ron approached the story with great sensitivity. He wanted to show not only Nash's struggles but also his determination and the support he received from his wife. The film was praised for its emotional depth and thoughtful storytelling. Critics admired how it balanced complex ideas with a deeply human narrative. When award season arrived, A Beautiful Mind became one of the most celebrated films of the year. It won several prestigious honors, including the Academy Award for Best Picture and Best Director for Ron Howard. This moment marked one of the highest points in his career. For someone who had once been known only as a child actor, standing on stage to accept an Oscar as a director was an incredible achievement. The success of the film showed how far Ron had come in his journey. It also reminded audiences that creativity and determination can open new paths even after years in a different role. Ron Howard's story became an example of how reinvention is possible when someone is willing to learn, grow, and take risks. Despite his many successes, Ron Howard's career has not been without challenges. Even experienced filmmakers sometimes create projects that do not perform well at the box office. One example was the comedy drama EDTV. The film explored the idea of an ordinary man whose life becomes a reality television show watched by millions. Although the concept was interesting, the movie did not attract as many viewers as expected. For Ron, this experience was disappointing. However, he understood that failure is often part of the creative process. Every director faces moments where a project does not connect with audiences the way they hoped. Instead of allowing this setback to discourage him, Ron used it as motivation to keep improving. He continued working on new films and exploring different types of stories. This ability to recover from disappointment is one of the qualities that helped him maintain such a long and successful career in Hollywood. Ron often speaks about the importance of learning from mistakes and remaining curious about new ideas. Over time, he became known not only for his filmmaking skills but also for his professionalism and positive attitude. Many actors enjoy working with him because he listens carefully and encourages collaboration on set. These qualities have helped him remain relevant in an industry that is constantly changing. Through both success and failure, Ron Howard has shown that perseverance is essential for anyone pursuing a creative career. Today, Ron Howard is widely respected as one of the most influential filmmakers in modern Hollywood. His journey from a young child actor to an award-winning director is both inspiring and unusual. Few people manage to successfully reinvent themselves in such a dramatic way. Looking back on his career, it is clear that Ron's early experiences prepared him for the challenges he would face later in life. Growing up on television sets taught him discipline, patience, and an understanding of how the entertainment industry works. These lessons became valuable when he eventually stepped behind the camera. Over the decades, Ron Howard has directed many different types of films, from exciting historical dramas to heartfelt human stories. His work often focuses on characters who face difficult situations but refuse to give up hope. This theme reflects his own life in many ways. Even when he encountered obstacles, Ron continued moving forward with determination and curiosity. Today, he is also involved in producing projects and mentoring younger filmmakers who hope to follow a similar path. His story reminds us that success rarely happens overnight. Instead, it usually comes from years of learning, adapting, and staying committed to a dream. From the small-town boy who once played Opie Taylor to the director who won an Academy Award, Ron Howard's life proves that perseverance and passion can turn early challenges into extraordinary achievements. As the years passed, Ron Howard continued to prove that his creative abilities extended far beyond the films that first made him famous. After the success of projects like Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Mind, he became known as a filmmaker who could handle both emotional human stories and large, complex productions. His calm personality and thoughtful leadership style helped him earn the respect of actors, producers, and crew members throughout Hollywood. Many performers have said that working with Ron Howard feels different from working with other directors because he values collaboration. Instead of forcing his own ideas onto every scene, he listens carefully to the actors and encourages them to share their thoughts about their characters. This approach creates an environment where creativity can grow. In addition to directing, Ron also helped establish a successful production company called Imagine Entertainment with producer Brian Grazer. The company has been responsible for producing many popular films and television shows over the years. Through Imagine Entertainment, Ron Howard expanded his influence in the entertainment industry and supported many different kinds of storytelling projects. This allowed him not only to direct films himself but also to help other filmmakers bring their ideas to life. For Ron, filmmaking has never been only about personal success. It has always been about telling meaningful stories that connect with audiences. His work continues to show how powerful storytelling can be when it is guided by passion, discipline, and a genuine love for the craft of filmmaking. Beyond his work in movies and television, Ron Howard has also built a reputation as a thoughtful voice within the entertainment community. Over the decades, he has witnessed enormous changes in the film industry, from the traditional studio system of the 1960s to the modern world of streaming platforms and digital filmmaking. Because he began his career as a child actor and later became an award-winning director, Ron has a unique understanding of how different parts of the industry work. This experience has allowed him to guide younger actors and filmmakers who are just beginning their journeys. He often speaks about the importance of patience and hard work in creative careers. According to Ron, success rarely arrives quickly, and artists must be prepared to face rejection or criticism along the way. His own life is a clear example of this truth. After all, he spent years trying to move beyond the image of a television child star before finally being recognized as a serious filmmaker. In recent years, Ron Howard has also explored new types of storytelling, including documentaries and streaming series that examine historical events or social issues. These projects demonstrate his continuing curiosity and desire to grow as a storyteller. Even after decades in Hollywood, he still looks for new challenges that push him to learn and experiment. This willingness to adapt has helped him remain relevant in an industry that changes rapidly. Today, Ron Howard's career stands as an inspiring example of resilience and creativity. From his early days on The Andy Griffith Show to his achievements as an Oscar-winning director, his journey shows how determination, humility, and a love for storytelling can lead to a truly remarkable legacy. Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates just like this.